go then. Ridiculous! Utterly ridiculous! Jesus, he's just breaking. He's just breaking out. He's working. I built the pack. Oh, I'm gonna try building one. So there's a thunder. I'm not quite scared. Kind of thinking I'm getting my money. That's funny. I built walls. Me and her build walls. Window, alright. Does your sister have a best friend? Wait, she's not gonna get some dropped. Alright, we're getting the drop right over here. We merged the big. Zoe the Clown! Where's she? She's not gonna play. Oh wait, no, she's just playing. Trying to shoot Leo. Yeah. She's trying, or he was just trying to shoot Leo. Can't shoot each other. Wait, how do you guys? What's the tails for? The tail for? It's pretty weird that you have like tails. Can't kill me. That's a lot of cash. We just got to see. What? We just got the same stuff. By distance. Yes, allow teams. I'm gonna allow teams. Yes. That's superpowers? Is this for like we're jumping? Like that. We can't. Okay, these are the most best friends. Advanced job. 800. Don't try to get my cash. I get her cash. Nope. I actually know how the tycoons work, which is good. That's stranger. Stranger danger, boy. What if I do? Friend with a YouTuber that's not even popular. Yeah, but how's it tree? Oh yeah, Zola! Actually, 5. That's not 5. You have the second floor? Or she's the one who has the second floor? Oh, I thought you're I now have a second floor. Protecting batteries? Why not we try getting everything? We're gonna try. Yeah, she's going. batteries. Oh, not that. Lights. The drops. I'm trying to get the drops. There's Zoe now. I'm still at the home. She's taking all the drops. I get these drops, girl. No, she also got it. Lol. She's dropping here. There's one dropping here. There's 500 cash, yes sir! I mean... Yeah, come out! It's good. Coffee. Or hot. I hate hot. I hate Hana. You're the only boy our friend, isn't it? Fighting from. Hana. Besides, Hana's in there. Hana, don't you even try. Try hurting our friend here, because you don't even have friends. There's a girl named Hana. So yeah, I think he's Hana. Yep. I think her who? Our friend? Basically hurt you? With a sword? We have a sword? Really? Or is there someone else? I might also kill someone, no? Look, see? What? I don't know what's happening. He's gonna vent. There he is! He's got the sword! Can't kill her though. He can kill you! What? How did he kill you with a sword? That's a lot of money, y'all! There you are, Zoe! Attack! Kill her! Kill her! Kill her! He can't kill you anymore. He can! We can't attack her, but she can. How's that it? You're your team. Stop, you're your team. Alright? Now I have nothing to do. I'm this thing now. Like, she can kill us while we can. What? No, no, no! I don't have anything. She's gonna kill me. She's gonna kill me, dude. Thank you. Thank you. Chloe, she's gonna attack us. Run for our life. Run for your life. Run, he's gonna kill you. He's gonna kill you with his leg. You'll go. He'll kill you. Will you suffer? Yes, she's here! Girl, I'm your teammate. Why are you attacking me? Girl, what's happened to you, girl? You're like crazy. Like crazy. He's only one! Look, see, I'm your team! Wait, she's coming! It is so... No. Those can die. He will be killing us. Hurry! How can she kill us when we can't? That's like incredibly rough. What is happening? From the hospital. You're gonna die, You might as well just come in at us and just try to kill us. I need to very I gotta die! I got no miseries away. She can kill us all we can. Bye. Haven't eaten yet. I got a weapon. I have a guitar? I'm Miss Flipper? I'm getting like, she's here! Taking that. I already have that. Right, I gave it. She have it. Wait, now both of us have it. Wait, she can kill her husband. I don't give any harm, girl. Both of us have the same weapon now, by the way. Yeah, so you can kill me. Good. Now she's not gonna kill me. Yay. Wait, but... Are you gonna like get disconnect? I'm lagging. Huh? Alright, can I get my money? Oh wait, it's now good now, I guess. Oh wait, that's a lot! Look at my money's over here. Alright, I'm just getting same here. What? Look. Same. For a minute. Zoe, look at my screen, no? Wanna see something? Look, see this? Alright, now. Third spin. Why is it not working? I'm lagging. She's supposed to die already. If I have the item that she dead? Wait, she got half. Did you just keep looking at my screen? Look. You can do that. that, then she's gonna die. I'm gonna go back and get my money. Then she'll die. Alright, I'm just lagging. I'm just lagging. Okay. It's gonna be. I'm still lagging. I'm gonna leave though. Did I leave? I don't know. But I'm lagging. I'm just stuck like this. Did I move? Alright. I'm just gonna... Cosmo and Sassy. Why is Cosmo hanging out with Sassy? Who's that? Hey, look, it's Garcel and Pom Pom. No. Now who's now? Now who's next? Zoe, now who? Ed, Matt and Ed. Sans? Is it Sans? Ayana. Next. Abby? Wait a minute. I just noticed something. With you?
Witty.
Or maybe that's Mini Witty? That is Mini? I think that's Mini Witty with Tabby. I think they're taking care of their child. Maybe Tabby's taking care of their Mini Witty's child. Next date is in a theme park. Don't get involved. I better get involved. Roblox. So look, look that I just found Zoe. It's there's so many Carol, so who is this? Who is this? They're both siblings. Okay, now next is Carol. Carol.
Balik mo na naman yung ano. Pantayin mo nga yung monitor mo. Balik mo na naman.
Ganito?
Julian, gising na ako. Itangin mo dun sa baba.
Ito, sino kaya ito? Okay ko. Hindi na si Orient. Sinabi sa... Okay, pwedeng siguro nga. Kasi may mga marka eh, oh. Oh,
Huwag yun sumisira mo. Hindi na mo.
oh, may marka eh.
Ano to?
Kung hindi ano, pusa ay ang ipis.
Ano mo na? Bit mo na to dito? Wala na rin naman eh. Itali mo yan dun sa baba. Itali mo yun sa baba, Kian.
Sorry. I will. Don't say like, hello guys, welcome back to my channel. Okay? Don't do that anymore, okay? Time's away. By the way, why is there full of girls? I'm not bullying girls. It's just a lot. I will corrupt you. What out?
Time for a moment to breathe. Enjoy relaxing with C2.
There's 104 days of summer vacation and school comes along. Hey, get off me.
Yes. Yes. Bree into getting out. I then led her into a patch of woods. Go on, close your eyes and hug that tree. It'll make your wish come true, I told her. I didn't believe any of that, of course, but my sister did. What would you expect? She was a 4-year-old idiot. While she was distracted by the tree, I ran back to the car and told the driver to take off. It was the only way I could get rid of her. As we started driving off, I turned back and saw my sister running after the car, screaming and crying. Before I could change my mind, I looked back at the road ahead. In the rear-view mirror, I saw the shadow of a huge creature creeping up behind her. Her screams echoed out, followed by the howl of what sounded like a huge wolf. I smirked. Finally, she was gone. But then the taxi driver turned towards me, and his face had completely changed. It was Bree? But how? She leapt on me from the driver's seat and exclaimed in her annoying voice, "Let's play, Stella! Let's play!" Her weight on top of me made me open my eyes, and I realized that it was all a dream. Well, mostly. She was on top of me, shoving her toy trees into my face. She'd been obsessed with trees ever since she saw The Wizard of Oz. "Get off me, you brat!" I shouted at her and pushed her away. She fell off the bed and started crying endlessly in that high-pitched, irritating voice. There was a little blood in her mouth when I checked if she was all right. Thank God, I thought it was something serious. She only had a chipped tooth. Seconds later, my parents rushed in and started confronting her. What have you done? My dad yelled at me. Gosh, relax. He was screaming like I'd killed her or something. That's it, Stella. You're grounded today, my mom said without giving me a chance to explain. Damn it, I wanted to go shopping with my friends today. Bree had ruined my whole day. I wished the dream had been real. Later that day, since I was grounded, I did the only thing that might bring me some joy. I watched Jason doing yard work from my window. Jason was the cutest guy to ever walk the planet. He lived next door and also happened to go to my school. But that day, bless my lucky stars, he was washing his Lamborghini with their garden hose. My eyes were wide as saucers when he took his wet shirt off and revealed his six-pack abs. Everything seemed to be in a slow motion as I drooled at every flex of his muscles. Stella, why do you watch that boy every afternoon? Is he your boyfriend? Bree said innocently, but very loudly, while pointing her fingers at Jason. Jason looked straight up at the window. I wanted the house to collapse with us in it. He probably heard what Bree said. I immediately ducked. But to make everything worse, Bree asked me why I was hiding in her loud voice. Ugh, I so wanted to strangle her. When I checked on Jason again, he had gone back inside his house. Oh Lord, he probably thought I was a creep. When I was about to go to sleep that night, Bree barged into my room again, carrying her toy trees. Get lost, Bree! I pushed her out of the door before locking it. Stuff like this happened with her every night. I never got any peace. The next day at school, while I was hurrying to my first class, I ran smack into Jason of all people. Hey, Stella. There was a whole swarm of butterflies in my stomach when he grinned at me. I'm having a party this weekend and I was wondering if you'd like to come, he said as an invitation, and I just wanted to faint with happiness. I immediately said yes, and it felt like my eyes were turning into hearts. On the day of the party, I woke up so excited it was crazy. I was just about to pick out my outfit for the evening when my parents marched in and dropped a freaking bombshell on me. We'll be going over to your grandparents' house tonight, so you have to babysit your sister. Don't leave the house no matter what happens, my mom instructed firmly. I almost passed out with shock. I begged them to take Bree along, but they refused. Ugh! I was so pissed at first. But then an idea popped into my head. I could lock Bree in her room before sneaking out to the party. And then I'd be back by midnight. No harm done. The minute Mom and Dad left, I ran and got dressed. Then, before leaving for the party, I checked on Bree in her room. She was sleeping and hugging her toy tree. I was about to lock her bedroom door when she suddenly spoke. Stella? What is it? I asked. I love you, she said in a sweet, sleepy little voice. I was touched for a moment, but just for a moment. Then I locked the door. After confirming that the coast was clear, I hopped next door, anxious, excited, and flustered all at once. The smile on my face was full of seniors. The outsider immediately to enjoy my night. She probably just wanted to check on Bree. I excused myself just before midnight to take a peek at Bree in her room. Just to, make sure in her room. Its bed was empty, and her window was wide open. Oh no! I spent almost an hour looking for her in all the corners, closets, and rooms in our house, but I couldn't find her anywhere. I even looked for her under the sink and inside those large antique vases, as she was so tiny, but there were no signs of her anywhere. She wasn't in our backyard or treehouse either. With my heart beating wildly in panic, I rushed outside to continue looking for her, but I was out of luck. Maybe she went to the party. I went back to Jason's house and asked for help, but I saw Jason kissing that senior girl from earlier. I was enraged. I tried to interrupt them by asking them and his friend if they'd seen Bree, but he just ignored me. What a jerk. I ended up crying after like an hour of searching for Bree in our neighborhood. Could my night get any worse? Should I call the police? No, I can't call the police. They would probably tell my parents and they'd kill me. My parents kept calling me to ask about Bree, but I ignored them. I was the only one to be blamed for this, and there was no way I could tell them what I did. I spent the rest of the night looking for Bree and crying. The next morning, I called my parents and told them that Bree had disappeared. As expected, they were furious at me. They immediately reported it to the police and the official search started. We posted pictures of her everywhere, in public places and on the internet. Her photo was even on the news. Even our cat Timothy had disappeared, and he was Bree's favorite pet. It felt as if Bree had really just vanished into thin air. The realization then slowly dawned on me in the next few days. I missed my little sister. I missed her annoying face whenever she came into my room to force me to play with her. I missed her irritating voice and her little fragile form that always bounced around the house. My parents were distant for the first year of her disappearance. Over time, they warmed up to me again when they realized that it wasn't my fault, at least as far as they knew. It was totally my fault though, and I was going to regret it until the day I died. Months passed, and one day, while I was jogging in the park, I noticed a familiar little girl being held by a big, muscular guy wearing black shades. Beside him was another guy who seemed to be scolding the girl. She was crying as they forced her inside a black van parked at the side of the road. She looked familiar from behind, and her voice rang a bell too. Oh my God, it was my sister!
Legit sa last ball, kaya sure ka sa Lazada.
Help! They're kidnapping my sister! I yelled while running after them like a cheetah chasing a gazelle, which caught the attention of everyone around. I grabbed a rock and threw it at the van, breaking their windshield to stop them from leaving. The big guy got out of the car and started yelling at me. "Let go of my sister!" I shouted back at him as I grabbed another rock. "This girl is crazy," he said to the cops who were fast approaching. I was so sure it was my sister, but when the little girl popped her head out of the van, I realized I was wrong. Oops. The cops apologized to the men when we realized that they were actually her parents, and she had 2 dads. "I'm sorry," I said. I finally had to see a therapist because I felt like I was losing my mind. I was seeing Bree's face in every little girl I came across. After 10 arduous years, her file was closed, as there were no leads. She really had just disappeared. Thinking of her made me cry, especially whenever I remembered her last words to me before she went missing that night. "Stella, I love you." Time passed so quickly. I finished college, got my dream job at 25, and married a sweet colleague called Liam. The memories of Bree never stopped haunting me. My parents seemed to have moved on eventually, but not me. A year after my marriage, we had a cute little daughter named Lily. By the time Lily turned 4, she started reminding me of Bree. They had the same facial expressions, and she was also obsessed with trees. She was like Bree's reincarnation. One day, Liam suggested we go camping because Lily couldn't stop talking about campfires. So after celebrating her 4th birthday, the 3 of us went to the woods. After reading campfire stories to my baby, as I'd promised, we then all went to sleep inside our tent, with Lily between us. In the middle of the night, I woke to the sound of howling. I turned around to hug my baby, but to my horror, it was only my husband beside me, and he was deep asleep. I shook him awake and shouted that Lily was missing. We both panicked as we rushed outside to look for her. We used our flashlights as we hunted between the tall, shadowed pine trees. I'd never forgive myself if something bad happened to her. Liam and I then decided to split up to cover more ground. Minutes later, I saw a foggy area at the end of the path I was following. The outline of a young girl standing in front of me caught my attention. I walked closer and called out my baby's name. I was sure it was Lily. While I was running up to her, another shadow appeared behind her. It was bigger and walked on all 4s. "No!" I screamed when the creature howled. It was a wolf, and it was ready to pounce on my baby. "Mommy!" Lily cried out in fear. The animal jumped, but before it could lay its claws into her, a couple of arrows flew from the darkness and landed in its head. The wolf collapsed, dead instantly. Lily's savior then stepped out of the shadows. It was a beautiful teenage girl dressed like a hunter. She picked up Lily and stepped towards me. My jaw dropped in disbelief when I looked into her familiar eyes. "Bree?" I blurted out. I couldn't believe it. I ran forward to inspect her face up close. I pinched myself to check if I was dreaming, but everything was real. It was really my sister. The color of her hair, her big expressive eyes, and that facial expression. I'd seen all of it before. "How did you know my name? Who are you?" She backed away like a cornered animal. "Bree, it's me, Stella, your older sister. Don't you remember me?" I tried to convince her, but she just shook her head. "It's dangerous to roam the woods at night. Go home and take care of your daughter," she said, emotionless. My head was swimming. I had so many questions, but she was so cold and indifferent to me. Tears started to stream down my cheeks as I recalled the hyper-younger version of her who had been obsessed with me. The teenage Bree was the total opposite. "You have to come with me, Bree. We missed you so much." I tried to hug her, but she just pushed me away. Liam and I followed her to a huge cabin where she clearly lived, but she kept on insisting that we leave her alone. She locked all the doors and windows to prevent us from entering. I decided to go home early in the morning morning and tell my parents about what had happened. They were shocked at my news as well. It was like a miracle to finally find my missing sister after 12 years. I went back with them the next day, along with some police officers, leaving Bree no choice but to open the door. My parents hugged her and told her everything, but Bree wouldn't believe us. After some DNA tests and more investigations, it was confirmed that she was really my sister. She told us and the police that she ended up in the woods after waking up at the side of the rope, but didn't remember how. An old, childless couple living in a big cabin in the middle of the woods then saw her and took her in as their own child. As she grew up, they trained her to be a good hunter like they were, and never brought her back to the city. Both had died years ago, and now she was living alone. Her adoptive parents told her that the city was a bad place, so she never dared to go there. My memories are blurry. I thought bad things had happened to me and I didn't want to remember, she confessed. I decided to stay at my parents' house with Lily when they brought Bree home. One night, I woke up to the sound of a rustling somewhere in my room. I got up to look out of the window and screamed upon seeing a figure standing on a tree branch, staring at me with its bulging eyes. My parents came in and turned the lights on, only to reveal that it was Bree. "Oh my God, Bree, what are you doing up there at midnight?" my mom said frantically. "I thought I saw a hyena. I have to kill it before it kills us." She looked so furious as she jumped in through the window. "Bree, there aren't any hyenas here," I explained, totally confused. I was relieved when the door opened and Lily ran in. "I found it, Bree!" she happily exclaimed while holding my mom's cat, the new Timothy. "Very good, Lily." Bree then snatched the cat from my daughter and tried to kill it, but we all stopped her and tried our best to explain that it wasn't a wild animal. We managed to calm her down and she fell asleep while Lily stroked her hair. Bree seemed normal over the next few days. She was slowly learning to get along with us, especially with my daughter. They were like the best of friends, totally inseparable. We were all spoiling Bree with delicious meals and beautiful clothes, and I was helping her get familiar with the city. I had to be a loving big sister to her this time. One night when I woke up, Lily wasn't beside me. She must have gone to sleep beside Bree again. So I went back to sleep and didn't worry myself. When I woke up, I saw a note on the pillow beside me. "Stella, by the time you read this, I'll be gone, and I'm taking Lily with me. Don't worry, I'll take good care of her, better than you took care of me. Don't bother looking for her because you will never see us again. You don't deserve to have another precious little girl in your life because you'll probably just leave her someday, like you did to me. P.S. I hate all of you, but especially you." The minute all the words sunk in, I screamed, and the world darkened around me. When I came around, days had gone by. There was no sign of Bree or Lily. We checked the cabin and all the surrounding forests, but they were gone. And yet, I see them everywhere. On the TV, the internet, wherever I go. And every time I close my eyes, I see the faces of my 4-year-old Bree and my 4-year-old Lily laughing at me. They look like they hate me. It's been a few years now. I still send missing posters and messages to the local newspapers and TV channels. Liam and my parents seem to have truly given up, but I won't stop looking for them, as long as I live. And now we come to the 10-year mark. Yet another 10 years with another missing child. For the first time in more than 2 decades, I was finally ready to give up. Maybe I had no other choice. But then one morning, I got a phone call. I hung up, but I couldn't believe what I'd heard. "Mom?"
I always start my day with Colgate Total. It protects me from bacteria for 12 hours.
Hi, my name is Kiara, and my world came apart when my best friend died and left a horrifying video behind for me. I didn't have a lot of friends growing up, but I always had Sloane. She was the loud one, the funny one, the girl that always lit up the room. But then, when we got into high school, she started being a little withdrawn.
"What are you doing?" I gasped in horror as my mom tore apart our kitchen. She had 5 garbage bags full of perfectly good food. "I am making sure you stay nice and healthy," she responded as she turned her attention to me. It was a pathetic image. I was hugging a bag of baby carrots for dear life. She snatched them out of my hands and threw them into a bag. As she dragged the garbage bags to the curb, she told me it was for my own good. I was devastated. I couldn't believe some yoga freak had convinced her to throw away hundreds of dollars worth of food. If you think this is bad, wait till you hear what I did get to eat. Before I get into why a weird lady with hairy legs is the reason no one calls me by my old name anymore, take the time to like this video and subscribe to the channel. If you do, you'll have 10 years of good health. Trust me. I know a little something about health. I mean, I know that parents just want you to be healthy, but my mom takes it to a new extreme. See, my mom always prided herself on being a health nut. I never ate processed sugar or even meat. I grew up on all organic and vegan foods. I remember this one time she tried to throw a birthday party for me and she made a cake out of tofu, salad dressing, and carrots. One of the kids literally threw up. Things didn't get any better as I got older either. One time, she packed me an organic lunch, and it smelled so bad, they evacuated the class. The principal thought it was a gas leak. It was actually just my smelly cabbage casserole. But her fitness obsession wasn't the only freaky thing about her. You would not believe the crazy things she did to stay up with the latest trends. She literally embarrassed herself and me on national television. I didn't legally change my name for no reason. She went through phases faster than a middle school girl. One day, she'd be dressed all preppy and sporty. The next, she was going out looking like a goth. One time, when I was 6, I went to a friend's place for a sleepover. And when I came home, I didn't recognize my own mom. I cried so hard because I thought my mom had left me. I used to think that her worst phase was the time her friend convinced her to join a cult. She actually shaved her head and painted her skin green. But boy, was I wrong. That wasn't a patch on what I'm going to tell you next. The worst thing was that the person behind my misery wasn't a creep with green skin. This time, it was a seemingly harmless lady with a sweet smile. So I really didn't see it coming. Even worse, I may have brought them together. I was an aspiring singer and actress, and I often performed at the community center and local theater. My mom met her at one of my performances and immediately became her best friend. She was calm and relaxed. I was actually pretty relieved about my mom meeting someone who was actually normal. So I encouraged Mom to invite her over to dinner one night. Oh, how I cursed my stars for that moment. Because when her friend came over, Mom put out a nice spread of salads using vegetables from her own garden. She was certain she'd impress her friend, but her yogi friend stuck up her nose and gagged with disgust. "I thought you were healthy," she sneered. I practically choked on the bean sprout I popped in my mouth. She went on to list all the dangers of food and talked about how the government can track you through carrots and that there are magic spells in nuts. My mom nearly died of embarrassment. I burst out laughing. I thought she was kidding at first. I asked her if she didn't eat food, then what does she eat? Apparently, she had been waiting for someone to ask because she whipped out a suitcase full of tablets. She explained that she was the CEO of a special company that sold the only safe things to eat on the market. I told her she was insane. But guess who bought it all? Yep, my mom. Seriously? I know you're friends and all, but $1,000? I asked. I told my mom it was a scam, but she was super positive that this was the food of the future. In fact, she even got so paranoid about government tracking that she made me wear a hat made of tinfoil that, you guessed it, was sold to her by her yogi friend. I figured it would blow over in a few days, like her last few phases. But I was very, very wrong. The next evening, when we sat down for a meal, she poured those stupid tablets on my plate. I asked her to make me a sandwich, and you would have thought I'd slapped her. She glared at me and refused to give me anything else. She said there was no way on earth she could do me such harm. In fact, she said she would throw away all our food. For the next month, I lived off of granola bars and vegetables I stole from the garden. I even ordered one of those snack boxes and hid all the chips in my room. I would literally drool whenever I saw a commercial for McDonald's or Pizza Hut on the TV. My mom, though, she seemed perfectly content eating those stupid tablets. One day, I'd had enough and decided to have a real meal. One of my biggest crushes, Bruce, had asked me out on a date the day before, and I texted him that I was ready to be picked up immediately. I let my mom know I was going out and ran out the door before she could say anything. I hopped in his car and told him I wanted to go anywhere. I was starving. My phone was blowing up with tons of warnings about staying away from food and how I forgot my special hat. It was so annoying that I shut off my phone so she wouldn't wreck my evening. But to be honest, I managed to ruin my day all by myself. He kept trying to make deep conversation and connect with me. Unfortunately, my body had a mind of its own. See, every time it was my turn to talk, my stomach would growl. I tried shifting in my seat to make it look like it was just the chair squeaking, but it was obvious that sound was coming from me. I just hoped he didn't think I was farting on our first date. I was so embarrassed. And to make matters worse, He seemed embarrassed for me. He was going to take me to the movies, but when he saw how much my stomach was growling, he asked if I wanted some real food. I never nodded so hard in my life. He took me to a pizza place all my classmates hung out at. Due to my mom's obsession with healthy food, I'd never eaten pizza before, and I couldn't be more excited. I mean, I didn't know if I was more excited to see Bruce or the pizza he took me out for. By the time our food came out, pretty embarrassing when Bruce asked me if I'd spilled water on my shirt. But my evening was about to get even worse. Just as I was about to bite into the juiciest slice of pizza I'd ever seen, someone slapped it out of my hand.
Snack time? Make it Chucky time, my chocolatey body.
I almost cried as I watched the pizza fall to the floor. I whipped around and saw that my mom was there, and she was furious. I wanted to scream. Then, to make matters worse, she started shouting at me. She went on this long rant about how crazy and idiotic I was to eat food after I'd heard about the spells in the tracker. She kept trying to hand me the stupid metal hat, which ruined my hair and made me look like an insane robot.
Who is this crazy lady?
Bruce asked. I would be her mother, young man, she shouted back. I wanted to crawl under the table, and that's exactly what I did. My hiding was rather short-lived as my mother dragged me out from under the table and pulled me back to her car. I had a feeling I wasn't going to get asked on a second date. To be honest, I was sadder about leaving the pizza behind. After that, Mom strengthened her iron fist. As I ran out of snacks, I grew hungrier by the day. This was bad news all around. See, if I get too hungry, I get hangry. I get mad and moody and snap at everything. I just wanted to eat real food. My mom saw I was upset and decided to surprise me with the news that I'd been called back for an audition I was particularly hyped about. I was glad, but at this point, I'd be happier if I got an apple. What I wouldn't do for a nice, juicy apple. To my utter disgust, my mom even brought her stupid yogi friend to watch in the audience. My mom said it was for support, but I could see her friend was looking to sell her dumb products to anyone she ran into. Today is not about that though, I told myself. Today is about me. I was excited, but something felt off. I told my mom I was starving, and she just gave me a new round of tablets. They looked a little different from the ones I'd taken before, but I was too tired to even question it. Unfortunately, when it was my time to walk up and perform, I wasn't as prepared as I wanted to be. As I walked on the stage waving to the camera, I lost my balance from dizziness and tripped. If falling wasn't bad enough, I literally crashed into the musicians and even broke a guitar. Everyone started booing me. I stood up to try to show them my skills and make up for my blunder, but my stars had something else of camera seeing. As if I could now. I wanted this day to end, but judging by the numbers of cameras pointing at me, I wasn't forgetting this day anytime soon. I also was not talking to my mom anytime soon. This was totally her fault. I ran out of the hall. Thankfully, Mom was nowhere to be seen. I decided to go and get myself something to eat from the McDonald's across the street. It was trashy, but I deserved a burger right about now. When I walked through the door, I shrieked. It was my mom. She was sitting by herself at a corner table and had a hamburger half jammed into her mouth. I couldn't believe it. I ran straight over to her. So the pill diet isn't good enough for you, but it's good enough to ruin my life? Horrified, my mom asked why I wasn't on stage. She obviously hadn't even bothered to watch me. Instead of supporting me, she was cheating on the diet she forced on me. She said she could explain, and it was just a one-time moment of weakness. But no way was I buying that story. I was so disgusted. I decided I would rather starve than talk to her. But that's when I remembered. I was on the other side of town, and I was starving. I realized that my last hope was the only person I never wanted to face again. My stomach grumbled, and I knew I didn't have a choice. I made the call. Bruce came surprisingly fast. Turns out, he had come to watch me. Instead of laughing or making fun of me though, he was super sweet. He even stopped and got me a milkshake so we could hang out. He then brought me to my empty house where I packed up all my stuff and went to live with Bruce. I was done with whatever crazy things my mom had going on. I even filled out paperwork to legally change my name. so I would never have to be associated with that embarrassment who puked all over the stage. Bruce took me out on a date to take my mind off of everything. We decided to check out this fancy place that opened up on ran over to help. And who did I see? None other than my mom. Again? One time weakness my butt. She had seen me walk in and was hiding from me. That's when I saw what she had on her plate. A steak! Was this what she always did? This time I wasn't going to ignore her. I was furious. She was such a hypocrite. She begged and pleaded to explain why she did what she did. She said that when she was my age, she struggled with body image issues and had lost a big break because she had binged on junk food and gotten deathly sick right before an audition. Quite ironic, I thought, given that I'd ended up doing the same, trying to starve myself. She said she thought that if she raised me on a strict diet to stay lean and thin, I would be successful and not miss my chance just because of bad eating habits. There was just one small problem. She couldn't lead by example, so she would go out and buy hamburgers and fries in private. Unfortunately, though, my problems didn't end there. Even after we made up, I couldn't go back home. My mom lost her house because of how expensive her friends' treatments were. Between tablets and crazy privacy devices, she was over $300K in debt. I nearly fainted when she said that. Sure, we weren't poor, but we weren't that well off to just throw away hundreds of thousands of dollars like that. I demanded that my mom go and confront her yogi friend immediately because we were getting our money back. This was actually the first time my mom was going to visit her home. I imagined the smelly hippie living in a trailer park or a tent in someone's backyard. This lady was living like a queen. She had a huge mansion covered with gold statues and a giant fountain.
Yes?
When we knocked on the door, a butler answered. We asked if it was the right place, and he said it certainly was. Only problem was that just a few hours ago, the police had taken her away. The police? We were in shock. We drove down to the station and joined a large group of people out front. When we asked what the big crowd was for, it turned out they were all also looking for the lady. That yogi lady scammed hundreds of people out of millions of dollars. Sometimes she was a nun selling magical holy water that she scooped out of the sewers. Other times she was a hippie that sold dog pills as supplements. Hearing that I had spent months eating nothing but dog pills made me almost projectile vomit on the crowd. If nothing else, this story has a bit of a happy ending. See, we ended up getting $2 million in our settlement case against her. It was more than enough for my mom to get a new house and me to start my career as an actress. I'm grown up and moved out now, but I do meet my mom for a weekly dinner. She still tries to be healthy, but in a good way. I like to say that she learned her lesson about being gullible, but she just asked me and my now boyfriend to come to some mysterious spa that will change my life forever. Wish me luck.
Hob. Hobby. It's him, Ma. That boy. It's him, Ma. Look at Cloud Boy. Annie's there. This is what happened next. A cute day. She don't know anything.